Good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are in the country. Welcome to the Security Plus study session, 2nd July 2020. Today I'm going to show you how to install bWAPP, or bWAPP, which is a buggy web application that will allow you to practice different sorts of attacks against websites, like cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery, etc. So let's take a look at how you can get this. This is bWAPP right now, or bWAPP, however you like to say it. It is a virtual machine that you can install using VMware, just like how we use Kali Linux. bWAPP would be used as another virtual machine. So you're going to set up a virtual machine to use bWAPP, and it's its own instance that allows you to practice these different attack vectors. By practicing these attacks, you're going to understand how they actually operate. So you're going to get it by performing the attacks yourself. The idea is that you gain a better understanding of them. So let's take a look at how to get bWAPP and how to install it with VMware. So if we go to the bWAPP website, this is the bWAPP website. It's a web application designed with security flaws built in, or it has it has applications inside the program. bWAPP itself, if you go to the downloads page, is the application itself is a series of files that you can exploit using different types of attacks, and they also include this download bbox, which is what we're going to do. bbox is a virtual machine that contains all of these, it isolates the applications and the vulnerable websites in its own virtual machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to download bbox. Okay. This is going to come as a zip file. This is SourceForge, which stores a lot of different software. I just click the download button. I'm going to download that, and then I'll go find that folder, that download. And when we open that, it's going to be a zip file. So what we're going to do is we're going to install that using our virtual machine. So I'm using VMware here. And if I wanted to, let's go to VMware. I'm going to suspend this player. And I have the ability to install a new virtual machine. So I'd create a new virtual machine. I can select the ISO file, and then I would browse to my location where I would find the file itself for bbox. So let me just put bbox in a good location here. That download is just about finished. I want to show you exactly how to do this so you know all the steps from start to finish. So we're going to wait for that download just a few seconds. And I know some of these attacks can be kind of theoretical. You know, if you hear about cross-site scripting, it can be difficult for many people to imagine how that can actually be implemented. How would cross-site scripting actually work? But by using bbox and bWAPP, you're able to gain a better understanding by performing the attacks yourself. Okay, so my download finished. I'm going to copy that file to a good location. And then I'm going to unzip that file in that same location. So you'll need a extractor. It's going to come as a zip file, so you can use Windows built-in zipping utility. I like to use 7-zip because it allows you to zip files and put encryption on it, or compress files and put encryption on it. And it supports a couple different encryption algorithms, including AES. So it's pretty secure. If you want to secure files on your computer, I recommend 7-zip. It's very helpful. Okay. So now I have my, we're going to open a virtual machine. Instead of creating a new virtual machine, we're going to open a virtual machine. Okay. And then we're going to find our bBox. And I'm going to open it. So all I did was I looked for the files that were extracted when bBox was unzipped. So now I've unzipped bBox, and I have a new instance of bBox. It's the exact same thing as what I already have installed, but now if I play, I power on this bBox. You want to say I copied it because you downloaded this file from the internet. That's going to help VMware understand how it got on your computer. So bBox is a Linux distribution that uses Ubuntu, and it's going through the installation process right now. It's going to play this catchy jingle at the beginning. And here you go. Now you have bBox on your device. So now I'm going to open bWAPP itself. So bWAPP is contained within bBox. And it's going to present me with a web application. And this is just a website. And it lets me select a difficulty level, basically. Think of it, this is like it's like a game almost, where you can practice hacking techniques. So I'm going to select low, just for this easy demonstration. And the login credentials will be B with a password of bug. And it gives you the login credentials right there. And from here, you can select whatever type of attack you want to practice. So we have all of the attacks that are listed in the bWAPP top 10 most common attacks. So we can select HTML injection, SQL injection or SQL injection, different forms there, XML injection, broken authentication, session management, cross-site scripting, insecure direct object references, denial of service attacks, insecure configurations or misconfigurations, man-in-the-middle attacks, unreferenced files. You can look at the Heartbleed vulnerability if you're interested in that. Clear test HTTP, XML external entity attacks, cross-site request forgery, using vulnerable components. So again, Heartbleed, buffer overflow, all sorts of attacks you can practice here. Let's do HTML injection stored. Okay, from here, I can inject HTML code. So let's just inject some code that I have just copied real quick. All right. One thing about bBox is you have to configure the keyboard. Now let me show you how to do that. Otherwise, the keyboard is completely different. If you don't set up your keyboard correctly and link it with your host machine, you won't be able to type properly. Okay, but here, basically, I've injected code into a blog. Okay, and since the blog itself doesn't validate any inputs, it allows this input to be read as HTML code. So here, I've injected HTML code instead of a comment, and that shows up with this formatting right here. All right, let's go. We're going to go to System, Preferences, and then Keyboard, and we're going to Layouts. And the problem is the keyboard starts with Belgium layout, which for most people isn't going to be very helpful. So we're going to add a layout. We're going to pick United States. And we're going to select the default layout. You can select all of these variations, but you don't want to select that. You just want to leave the variant as default. And then we're going to add that, okay? And we're going to select that as our default. Then we're going to close. Now let's go back to our website. Go back to HTML injection in a blog and start typing. And now your keyboard should work just fine. Here's a pretty easy one we can go over. This is going to be insecure login forms. Okay? So from a login page, you're going to see the login form. It's going to ask for your credentials, right? We're already logged in, but if this login form was insecurely created, we can actually inspect the form itself and find possibly a note with credentials in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click the page within the browser. This is bWAPP is using Firefox. We're going to inspect element, and we're going to select the form itself. So here's the form, insecure login 1.php. So we're going to be able to actually examine the PHP file of the login form. And here we see the ID, type password, name password, and this is the text that we see here. And here we have a label for password, and the password itself we see is I am Iron Man. Now we just need the login, and for the login label we see Tony Stark. So if we say Tony Stark and I am Iron Man, it should log us in. Tony Stark, password I am Iron Man. I don't think I logged in that correctly. Let me just drag and drop this text so I don't make any typing errors here. Alright, and then we get a successful login. You really are Iron Man. So because the login form was not securely implemented, we can glean that information using that inspect elements tool. That's just one example of the type of attacks you can do with bWAPP. If you want to see more about this, let me know. I'll be happy to run more demonstrations. There's many different attacks you can do with bWAPP and with bBox, and it's really a great tool to learn some of these attack methods.